The Prisoner's Fate by Richard L. Elsliger. Copyright 2022. Over and over, I ask myself what wrong turns I made to get me here, and what little tweaks might I have made to avoid this situation. Of course, it's too late to alter my circumstance, because there are no repeats in life. There is no do-over, to put it quite bluntly. I am a political prisoner, unfairly tried and unjustly convicted, sentenced to suffer the indignity of this vile device merely for my beliefs. I ask myself, was it worth it? It's easy to say that tyranny prevails when people of good conscience say nothing, but when you, my friend, are faced with this awful thing, you might change your mind. I can see it from my prison cell. I can hear the nearby wall clock tick in a frightful way that under any other setting I might find mildly annoying or soothing, depending on my mood. Now the sound of the second hand fills me with dread, its mechanical precision that reminds me with each tick that my life as I know it, as I knew it, is counting down to the end like shifting sand in an hourglass. This will be a televised execution, a first for our country, and the viewership will, no doubt, be spectacular, breaking all expected numbers throughout the land. They will cheer with delight at my expiration, I can only anticipate. My trial gained notoriety throughout this so-called fair land that I call home. I was to be made an example for anyone daring to create a thought, to expose a fraud within our government, the all-seeing and all-knowing master spy that has invaded our homes and stolen our data, our thoughts and our voices, and used it to their advantage, and much to our disadvantage. I suppose I should take some solace in the fact that perhaps one day I will be regarded as a martyr. However, that thought alone gives me no comfort, because I will not live to see it, to know it, or experience it. From all accounts, my name might just as easily be swept away with a push of a delete button, and I will have ceased to exist not only in the flesh, but also in memory. My family won't remember me either. I was forced to watch them die. The government deemed their biological association with me was sufficient to regard them as a threat, and they were punished in the most horrendous way for my transgression of the political laws. They will not continue, and neither will I. It will be an early morning execution, with spotlights plentiful to brighten an otherwise somber occasion. A prison esthetician already arrived on scene and applied makeup to my face, so that I would look good for the camera, an outrageous gesture I was not aware of in the death chamber before this morning. I can hear them pulling on the mechanism to test the machine, to avoid a national embarrassment if it failed. It makes a dramatic thump. The sound sends a shudder through my body, and a chill runs unrestrained inside me. My muscles tighten in fear of what I am about to experience. I watch the seconds tick on that cursed clock outside my cell, and then a door opens unexpectedly. Wait, I thought. I had more time. I had at least an hour left before the moment. I check the wall clock and remember that we went to daylight savings time last night. Some fool had failed to reset the time. I want that wall clock to stand still, to stop in its tracks and freeze time, so that I can find a way out. But such wishes are only the frivolous meanderings of a condemned man. The warden comes through the door and my legs weaken. They have denied me a prison chaplain to see me through this process, because political prisoners are somehow worse than common criminals, though I never killed anyone, never incited anyone to riot or revolt, but rather I held a different belief and spoke my mind, and now I must pay for that belief. I think about my childhood and wish I could go back to simpler times. I dream about my parents from that era, loving parents that bestowed their affections upon me, never knowing that their only son would end up in this nightmare scenario that faces me now. I want this to be an illusion of the mind, that I will wake up in the comfort of my boyhood home, walk right downstairs to the kitchen, and have a bowl of cereal for breakfast, and greet my parents with a heartfelt good morning. The warden comes to the door of my cell and reads its pronouncement, my crime and the punishment that is about to follow. The door unlocks with a rattle of the jailer's keys, and I think about how this scene must have played out in times gone by. Only locations and times changed, never the protocol. 2 hefty guards seize me by the arms and pick me up from the moth-eaten cot, a vile urine-stained lump that served many of my predecessors during their last moments of life. The guards stand on either side of me, a pair of frothing wild boars, ravenous to see some blood spilled this early morning. I am lifted on weak legs, barely able to stand, paralyzed with fear. They shuffle me past the weighty iron door to a sickly green hallway that extends a short distance, not nearly long enough to extend the waning moments of my life with a long walk. The guards handle me roughshod, and for a second I consider resisting this atrocity and attempt to break free. I assess their strength, and compared to mine, I would not prevail. I do not resist. I want to die with dignity. We head down the hall, and a harsh metal door opens to an open-aired courtyard. It's still very early in the morning, and the sun is not visible. I think about the fact that I will never see another sunrise or sunset. I will never see the moon again. I will never feel the sensuous kiss of a woman upon my lips. I will never enjoy another meal, my last meal of fundamental right deprived by the malice of my government. I am led to the open air. I breathe in a cool, crisp freshness and savor what I took for granted my whole life. I see the mechanism that will sweep my life away, and my stomach turns like a writhing python inside me. I see cameras set up to capture my death at every angle. A handcuff closes around my wrists, catching me off guard. No time is wasted getting the second clasp over my other hand, restraining me from any sudden and unexpected maneuver to avoid my situation. Someone folds down the collar of my shirt. I understand the process, having witnessed other executions from my prison cell. I should never have witnessed them, but my inquisitive mind, the mind that got me to this place, wanted to know what I faced. It has been said that knowledge is power, but today, this day, this time, knowledge is death. The machine is not far off, and the guards push me forward down the funnel of my fate. I can see crowds above me looking down from the prison walls, and they jeer. My vision is narrow, my eyes focused on the machine. I feel sick and faint, unable to steady my thoughts. I see the angled blade raised high, cold steel reflective under the artificial lights. The guards, those grunting pigs of the state, trade jokes between themselves, while I remain stuck in the middle, the unwilling target of those jokes. The executioners, of whom there are two, are dressed in solid black, their faces shrouded, unseen. This can't be happening. It has to be a nightmare. The guards present me to the tilting board that stands upright, ramrod in its vertical state, and obscures the two halves of the lunette that will hold my neck in place. They bind me to the tilt board with thick leather straps. I see faded bloodstains on the wood, a dull red that projects a musty smell. The straps are tightened to a painful level and secure me from any extraneous movement. I hear laughter coming from somewhere between a man and a woman. This is a joke to them, a casual occasion, an ordinary day. I expect they will go out to eat afterward, having worked up an appetite from this gory pomp and circumstance. The board tilts forward, and the sensation makes me dizzy. The lunette is open and waiting. Beside the tilt board is a wooden casket where my body will be shoved and put to rest. The executioners take over from where the guards leave off, and my body is moved forward on the board. My head fits without issue through the wooden plank of the lunette, and the top half is lowered over my neck with an uncomfortable pinch. I have a momentary grim thought of times I went to the barber and had my hair washed in a sink before the trim, my neck hanging over a dip in the wash bowl to accommodate. Today's barber shop rises to a whole new level of terror. My heart is racing and I breathe in gasps. I am deprived of a blindfold. I stare down at the basket filled with sawdust mixed with dried blood from an earlier execution. I need to say something, anything, before my final moment. I remind myself of why I'm here. I can't change my own situation, but I can get the message out to the world. The cameras are running. Millions are watching. I hear the executioners prepare. Now is my time. "Give me freedom or give me death," I shout. The executioner responds, "You get death." A lever snaps and a blade hurtles, a bloodthirsty blade eager to silence my words, to silence my thoughts. I shut my eyes and dream of a place where the tall grass sways and there are forever lazy days, a place where the sun never sets and I can find peace at last.